my gosh. Welcome back to my channel. We're gonna review the latest episodes for Zard Patton and Ghair. Starting off with Ghair in episode 7 and 8, which just recently released. Basically what happens is Farjad admits to his family that he is interested in marrying Wafa. Salis kind of is trying to butter his mom up and get her prepared for potentially siding with him in getting him married into his cousin's family, or basically Shafa, but he conveniently does not mention which cousin he wants to get married to. That leads to some confusion that is going to probably come to fruition in the next couple of episodes. So going into what I thought about the show or what happened recently, honestly, first of all, Farjad's mom really was so irritating for me, because I think the thing that bothered me the most was first impression of her was like, oh, I think she's gonna not be evil, but it turns out she is, or at least she's a little bit like not thinking clearly and is just like one of those moms, which a lot of moms are like this, all they think about is their kids only and they don't care about anything else, and they think their kids are perfect and can do no wrong. And it's usually those parents whose kids are like the worst, and it's so apparent with Farjad's mom. I don't even know her name, but she give, like, when you look at her, when I saw her first come on screen, she did not give like evil lady vibes, evil auntie vibes. But I guess I am consistently wrong when I try to judge people's characters based off their faces or like the vibe they give off for like the first 10 years of knowing them, I think. So basically, even though she comes off a little bit more softer and less aggressive, when you look at like the way she's dressing and like the makeup or whatever, it's a lot more subtle, and she doesn't have as sharp features, I would say, but she's just as crazy as everybody else. The first thing that really irritated me, like, and really stood out and made me want to make this video is Meri loti beti, and then afterwards Mera lota beta. She takes out her anger at Wafa because Wafa ends up making her daughter Shafa cry, but really it had nothing to do with Wafa. Wafa was just being honest, and basically the mom was like, oh, why didn't you just go with the lie? And it's like, I don't understand. Like, it's her birthday. Like eventually people were gonna figure out that that was a lie, right? And then it would come on to her anyway. And the thing that infuriated me so much was the fact that she is annoyed that Wafa is the cause of Shafa crying, but really Shafa lied, which is the thing we all tell kids not to do so that she could do whatever. Like, the mom didn't wonder, like, why did she lie? Why did she need to lie? Oh, but it's because my son's crazy and acts like really like very strict, and he's very difficult or whatever and conservative, and maybe that is a problem. Or we should try to understand, why is she lying? Where did she even need to go? What was so important that she had to lie and she couldn't just say what she needed to do? You know what I mean? Like, is the mom not thinking past that, like past seeing her daughter cry? Like, it was so annoying, because I think at the end of episode 7 we see that, you know, she's like upset or annoyed or like angry that her daughter is crying and she wants to like deal with Wafa, but like, what did Wafa really do? Like, I don't understand. Everyone's gonna, like, that was the dumbest thing to lie about. Like, come on, girl. And so basically, if you had an issue with your daughter crying, maybe you should focus on raising your son better, because he's the one that's making her cry, because he's so conservative and rigid. And if you don't have a problem with your daughter going out and about doing whatever it is that she's doing, then maybe you should make that clear to the son, right? Clearly he has a problem with it, and clearly like your Handan has a whole thing about like you know, Sharif ladkiya or whatever, but like, what is your daughter having to lie about that she needs to go out? Like, you know what I mean? The double standards is just so annoying, and she's getting upset with Wafa, and Wafa, we'll get to her in a minute, but we'll focus on the mom for now. The second thing that she said that irritated me was Mera lota beta, and I was like, okay, we get it, you have only one daughter and one son. Like, it's not even like you have one child, you're like, oh, my only daughter, my only son. Or it would have been like, oh, my oldest son, or my forgotten middle son or daughter or whatever. Like, it's just so obsessive. Like, she's like, this is my only child, and this is my only daughter, this is my only son. In the context when she says Mera lota beta, she's talking in the context of, oh my god, like, I'm not gonna let you trap my son. And I'm like, bruh, like, you've seen that she doesn't say or do anything. Like, how is she gonna trap him? I don't get it. And like, if you're home all day doing nothing because you have nothing else to do and your kids have been raised and they're grown-ups and do their own thing, how are you so gotcha that you don't know what is going on in your own house or where your kids are? Like, I don't understand how How did you let your son get trapped at this point? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And honestly, like, my issue with the mom is the fact that this is what happens when your whole purpose in life is just your role as a wife, and then as a wife and mother. And then because, like, she also mentions this in the last episode, that she did not make any decisions for herself, like her mother-in-law or like the grandmother, like whatever decisions she made, she went with. But she's like, now this is, you know, mera beta ka mamla, I'm not gonna let anyone like make me make another decision. So now, like, you know, this is the whole thing that like moms tell their daughters, especially, is like, jab bache ho jayenge phir you know aap mazboot ho jaogi or whatever. And I'm like, this is the mazboot. Like, eventually your kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna want to do things their own way, and like in the same way that you wanted to, and now you're gonna put a pabandi on them and not let them do what they want to do. And we already know how this didn't work out in the previous generation, when your brother ended up marrying someone and like that whole fiasco or whatever. You know what, let's just leave that on the side. But like, your son has expressed interest in someone, and like there's nothing wrong. Like it just doesn't make sense for you to get that intense. And the thing is, like, the frustrating thing about like Desi aunties is like they can't seem to see anything outside of their own little circle and the feelings that they have or they want their kids to have. And so even though Farjad has been made it very clear, and he was really respectful about the whole situation, like he liked someone, he made it clear, and the mom is just like, no, and the reason is there's no real reason. It's just because who her mom was. And how is that her, like, that's not something you can control. That doesn't make any sense. So basically my conclusion to Farjad's mom is she's crazy and needs to be like put in her place somehow. Like, this is not okay. and also, just to add, like the audacity for her to go off on a tangent and tell Wafa like, oh, like I want someone for my son who like has a good mom and you know, Sharif and all those things. Like, she went off for a little bit about that and like basically like just attacked Wafa for like no reason. And it's like, bro, like your daughter is so shady, what are you talking about? And that's the thing that I always laugh about a little bit whenever someone tells me like, oh, my sister, my daughter, or my mother, they're so good. And I'm like, okay, sure they are. Like, you're not with them 24/7, and you're also not in their thoughts 24/7 to know what they truly are like. And half the time, these people are not good people. In the case of, for example, Shifa, this masoom ladki that is crying because her cousin didn't want to lie about her birthday. Like, come on. Okay, so let's go into the sister, Shifa. Honestly, this girl just wants to enjoy her life, live her life, and her parents are just too strict, and the whole family in general is just too strict for her. And she wants to go off with her family's like arch nemesis's son or whatever. And it's just honestly kind of stupid, but whatever, you do you, right? The fact that from the beginning, she comes off as a spoiled brat, and she's not willing to share her space with her cousin. And like, I know that like maybe that's like a normal reaction, but I like kind of grew up in a joint family system, so I'm like it's fine, like you could make it work, right? But like, she has this huge room and she gets to do essentially whatever she wants. She does have to lie a little bit here and there, but she eventually does whatever she wants because she has money, flexibility, and resources to do that. And I love the fact that she was very clear from the beginning. She did not hide the fact that she didn't want to share her room, she didn't want to like share clothes or anything. She ends up doing it because she kind of has no choice. And then suddenly when she needs something again from Wafa, which is to go out with her so that no one suspects anything again after that whole fiasco, she conveniently brings up, oh yeah, I'm like doing so much for you, I'm sharing my space with you and all of that. And like, yes, that is something that you're doing, but you're not willingly doing it. Like, and you've made it clear consistently that you're not willingly doing it. So why are you acting like, you know, you've been doing this huge favor? Like, it's been against your will too, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like when people do that, use those as bargaining chips afterwards. Like, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, honestly. I don't like that about her. And one thing I like is the fact that the guy that she's interested in, her cousin Salas, kind of sees through the fact that like she suddenly switched up. Like one thing didn't go her way, and like suddenly Wafa is like a bad person to her, even though she was telling Salas herself like, oh yeah, she's great, like she's nice or whatever. She's very nice as long as she didn't say anything, do anything, and stayed out of everyone's way as much as she possibly could. And now when one thing happens where she just tells the truth because she doesn't want to get caught in a lie, she's suddenly like this bad person, and she feels all this sense of betrayal. And I'm like, bro, that's so extra. So I don't really like her character, and honestly don't necessarily want to see her happy either. And I realized, I was talking to my husband about this, and I was like, yeah, a lot of Desi girls are like that, like especially people that come off from like more well-to-do families or whatever, like that are more well-off. Ugh, I don't like her. Okay, I just want to say one thing about Wafa's stepmom. I don't remember her name, but it's like Malahat or something like that. And honestly, like, girl needs to chill out. This girl, this lady, this auntie is acting like Wafa is the stepsister wife or whatever, or like was the first wife. She's not. She's the kid. Like, she didn't actually do anything wrong. She has such an intense reaction. Ever since like Wafa came into the family, she's just been upset and so aggressive, and it's just like, you can chill out. Like, I get it, but you can live your own life. But it looks like she really cannot. Ever since Wafa came into the picture, she feels extremely self-conscious, extremely insecure. I don't understand. Like, all I can think about, again, when your only purpose in life is to be a wife or a mom, or like you're just at home all the time and you don't have any external hobbies and you don't have any like social circle outside of just like, you know, the gossip nature of those social circles, like you're gonna be extremely insecure when things like this happen. And it's not like you didn't know she existed, you knew she existed, and now this unfortunate thing happened to her where her mom literally suddenly died in a plane crash, and you just are so aggressive and hateful towards her. Like, it's a bit much. I feel like the drama's a little over with this, with all of the moms in the family. They're so extreme, and it's like, you really need to chill out, really need to chill out. The opposite end, or the extreme of all of these moms, is Wafa. Like, she is so like passive and just like can't do anything for herself. She always has this consistently helpless face on, and I'm like, you know what, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. She, in her previous situation, previous family with her stepfather and mom, she was the oldest, and she was oldest by a lot. Her younger siblings had to be at least 5+ years younger than her, and she must have been like really resourceful, like took on leadership roles and all of that, and she was very capable too. So I'm just like, how is she suddenly not able to do anything at all? And also, like, to add to that like persona that they wanted to give, they made sure she intentionally came with nothing except for the clothes on her back. Like, it's just so extreme, doesn't make any sense. It's like, you're really trying to put this character into such a helpless position so that Farjad can come and save her, but like, it's a little bit much, you know? I don't know any oldest daughter that is that helpless. And I totally understand that, you know, her mom just passed away or whatever, but like, she's still, I would think, very capable. So what is going on? And I feel like they do all of this so that Farjad can come and like just swoop in and save her, because he's just gonna solve all her problems. Which, let's talk about him for a second. The thing about him, okay, like, I really don't like his existence. I don't like his face. I don't like his posture. I don't like the way he walks in some of those scenes. It's just like so aggressive and so like, I'm the man and I'm like this conservative person. It's just a little too much again for me. I feel like all of these characters are too much, and Wafa is like too little. But with Farjad, one redeeming factor I really like about him is the fact that he was very honest and straightforward. He went straight to his mom and like mentioned Wafa to her as soon as the topic of marriage came up. He didn't like play any games or whatever, and he's been like overall respectful towards her. But he's like, I would think he would be like very intimidating too, because of how he is with the rest of his family. I guess Wafa likes him because he's literally the only person that was at least a little bit nice to her ever since she moved in. Everyone else was just like ignoring her or acting like she didn't exist. So I kind of get that, like, makes a little bit of sense. but he is so different compared to Wafa that it's such a like stark contrast. I feel like, how does this make sense? But then I guess it kind of makes sense, but I don't like it still. I don't like him as a character at all. And of course there's going to be confusion. I think that's what they're trying to show. I feel like the main thing with the show is actually like lack of communication. Honestly, there is so much lack of clear communication. It is so frustrating. Like in the teaser for the next episode, basically Farjad is going to like cause some fuss because Shafa went out and about, and she's going out and about with her cousin along with Wafa, and of course, Shafa throws her under the bus, and this is going to cause a lot of confusion and make everyone think, including Farjad, that Wafa likes Solace, not Farjad. And then Shafa is going to hate Wafa because she's going to take her man away from her, and Solace is going to be like, what do I do? Okay, fine, I guess. I don't know. I feel like this is ridiculous. I was really thinking this was not going to happen. My husband was saying like, this is what's going to happen, and 2-3 episodes later, or I guess 4 or 5 episodes later, this is exactly what happened. And it's so frustrating because I'm like, bro, like if you just communicated who you actually liked, like people could have been happy, but now no one is going to be happy. Great job, guys. Great job. We love this communication. The biggest issue with Pakistani people or Desi people is poor communication skills. Like so much poor communication and blindly just believing things and filling up the gaps yourself. It's ridiculous. And this actually leads me into the next drama that I want to talk about, which is Zard Patton Bunn, my favorite drama. I'm so sad that only one episode is coming out every single week, but here we are. The episode came out today and I was just like, I gotta watch it right now. I have to. And I was so excited. So first, I really want to talk about Minu and her dad. Honestly, I think it's like, even though they don't show their interactions that much because there's so much other stuff going on in the show, I love their interactions because it's so like calming to see the father-daughter interaction and like it be a healthy one, it be a one based on like trust, and there's no like intense level of control. Like they really do care about each other and they respect each other, or the father really respects the daughter to make the right decisions, and he sees that she's very capable. I love that. The best thing about her dad is honestly the fact that he has so much faith and like strongly believes in his daughter, to the point that even when people are accusing her of very like bad things, of her being dishonorable and all of that, he does not blindly just believe other people because they're men or other people in power and are influential. Like he doesn't just blindly believe them to fill in the gaps, because he was trying to imply something and he wanted it to be very clear, like, what are you trying to imply? And then he was like, I believe in my daughter, or I believe that she's not the type of person that would do something like that. I know her, you know, I'm not gonna just blindly go with whatever you're saying and go with whatever type of thing you're scheming. Like it was so refreshing to see that. I loved it. It was great. And this is the stuff that, you know, like just makes life better when you communicate clearly, unlike people in Ghair or literally every Desi family ever. If you just clearly communicate what you want or don't want, you don't have so much tamasha. It's like life is so much better. Like if you see, like Mina's dad is the only one that's always just chilling. Like chaos is happening and he's like slowly like taking his time and managing things and like observing and asking questions, you know, like he's not like so basic. And also kudos to him for being so well like having really good discipline and self-control, because his daughter is being accused, did this thing, she went and visited the guy in the middle of the night or whatever. And on a side note, honestly, like that is like the fact that she did get caught doing something like that, and that too in a small village, like even if it wasn't a small village, like I think anyone would second guess their kid or obviously have thoughts and opinions. Like there is no reason for her to actually be visiting him in the middle of the night. Like you could have just waited till tomorrow or something else, you know, you could have waited for things to cool down with everything going on with the doctor. So for the fact that he still took his daughter's side and knew her better, like I honestly don't think that's how it would have played out in real life, or at the very least he would have questioned his daughter. But the good thing is the fact that Mino came to him in advance to talk to her about the situation, or the fact that she was interested in someone to begin with, and the fact that she was transparent with her father probably gave him a lot more like strength in his belief in his daughter. I honestly am really curious of like what kind of upbringing do you have for you to be that chill, because love it. We get a little bit of Roshan and Minu in this episode, but honestly I feel like Roshan's like love story or whatever is set to the side because we're dealing with the whole Minu situation. And I like the fact that he seems to be in a position, even though he's not like the brightest person, but he is more experienced in this, and now I feel like he's going to take more of a leadership or a protector role for his football, or I think it's football. And I kind of like seeing that. I like to see the side where he is taking care of her. It's just a little cute because their relationship is cute. And then another relationship that's really nice is Afzal and Nasreen's relationship. I would like, you know, for them to eventually get together or something. But one thing I wanted to point out, and I see this all the time, and like you will just have regular conversations with people and people will slip this in where they will say or imply the way Afzal did when talking to Nasreen, that he doesn't really care what people will say if they see them together, like we gotta like help the doctor, whatever. And she's just like, no, I'm not gonna let you do that because what will people say and all of that. And I think that's very realistic. That's not, it's unfortunate that she has to think that way, but it's very, very realistic. And I love that she basically set that boundary, because at the end of the day, men love to be like, oh, I don't care what anyone says, I'm gonna do the right thing, even if it, you know, maybe looks a certain way to other people. They don't know what's going on. Well, they can make up whatever they want to make up. The reality is most of the time the consequences of that you don't have to face. The men don't have to face. It's the women. And so Nasreen understands that, and you know, they imply that she's like very aware of, you know, the way women's reputation can easily be skewed, especially in the village. And so she's like, no, I don't care, I'm gonna go on my own. And so she goes and deals with the situation on her own. So even though I really like Afzal, I didn't like that about the fact that he said that, but honestly, like, men do that all the time. It's ridiculous. They just can't seem to understand that even if they do, like, they have to deal with those consequences, it's so like on such a smaller scale compared to whatever the woman or the other party will have to deal with, like 99% of the time. And so women are definitely usually more cautious about this, whereas men can just be like, oh no, I don't care, like we gotta get this done or whatever. Like, come on guys, like you don't have to be there together, it's fine. And the other thing I noticed with Nasreen though is the fact that I do feel like she's gradually become a little bit more confident and a little bit more assertive. I think she really understands that men are all useless and they just cause problems, and just being around them can cause problems for you. And so she really is trying her best to just take charge of her own life as much as she can within the scope of, you know, the realities of her world. And so I really, really like that. I really hope that she can like do something for herself, and I do hope that she can end up with Afzal, because like I feel like it's a little cute, you know. Yeah, inshallah, you know, it's really cute. I just love this show so much. Everything about it is amazing. My least favorite thing is the fact that there's only one episode every week. It's so upsetting, to be honest, but so far I am liking everything that I'm seeing. I want to see how the show progresses, and honestly I feel like things are gonna get really tough. That's my recap for Zard Patton. I took a look at some of the like views for some of the episodes for Zard Patton compared to like Kabhi Main Kabhi Tum, and honestly when I look at the two shows, Zard Patton is way better. I like it so much more, but I think it's maybe like cast obviously plays a role, but honestly I think the fact that it literally only airs once a week plays a huge role, because then you don't get to see as much, and then you have to keep waiting for the show to progress. So it's progressing a lot slower compared to all the other shows, and so I feel like that's a huge factor. And the fact that the show is not as glamorous, like there's no like, you know, branded or extreme clothing or whatever, jewelry, accessories and makeup. Everything is very simple, and I feel like they focus on real issues outside of just the love story or the multiple kind of love stories that are going on. I feel like it's a very realistic show, and I really do think it's so underrated. It's such a good show, and like I hope like more people watch it because it's good. So those are my thoughts on the two shows, Zard Patton and Ghair. Let me know what other shows you guys are watching and your thoughts on what's gonna happen next for these two shows, and I'll see you guys in the next episode or in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.